YouTube. Today I'll be starting a new discussion. I'll be talking about the evolution of my bushcraft equipment. I usually focus more on backpacking, but I do some shorter trips, and in those cases I try to do a little bit of bushcraft as well. So I'd just like to show you kind of how that system's kind of been coming along. So I'll kind of go from my right to my left and kind of bounce around in between as I see fit. Just kind of discuss kind of how I did things. Now, my basic philosophy of use was to carry a fixed blade knife of some sort, combined with either a smaller fixed blade knife or a folding knife, and then depending on where I'd be out, either bring a saw or some sort of small axe or both. So when I was first starting out, I didn't know if this would be something I was interested in or something I would do for the long term. I was also on a budget, so I started with a knife similar to this. This here is the more Bushcraft. I started off with the more companion knife. The Bushcraft is Triflex steel, the companion is carbon steel, but it has a Scandi grind. Both of them, this one has kind of a rubberized grip. The companion has more of a plasticky grip. And then neither one of them are full tang, which a lot of people will complain saying if you're going to be going out you need a full tang knife. But there's plenty of videos to show that these have baton wood. They're very capable knives, and for the price you really can't go wrong. My companions, I got a 2-pack of them, I believe, for just over $20, and you can usually find them from about $12 to $15 for just the basic companion knife. I believe I had the companion MG, which stands for the military green. But as far as these knives are extremely sharp, they work very well. The Scandi grind is really good for carving wood. Kind of have an old stick here to kind of give a little bit of a, but I mean, as far as feather sticking, notching, as I said, you can do some light batoning. These knives are actually really, they're solid, and for the price, you really can't go wrong. If you're just trying to find out if you're interested in bushcraft, I'd definitely say more is a good way to go. You won't be dissatisfied. It's more than capable. Now with the companion, if you're using a ferro rod 2, I would definitely recommend flattening the edge. It kind of, it's not a square spine, so it doesn't really do well with the ferro rod. And it's easy enough to flatten out. This one came with a relatively straight, flat spine, so I was able to kind of strike a ferro rod with it. This one I currently keep in my car in the trunk in case of emergencies. I gave one of my companions away to a friend, and the other one went to my wife in her backpack because she likes it because it's really lightweight. The one caveat I will say is for the companion, the sheath is, it's serviceable, but it's really clunky. This one's slightly better, but there's still a little rattle. The companion has more of that issue. It also does not have this movable sort of plastic dangler. It's just kind of straight off this way. So I found that I got a aftermarket sheath from C2G Fab, and it's amazing. It's a great quality sheath. It'll last a lifetime. It's got good retention so it won't fall out. And the benefit is that I will eventually, if one of the if my wife's companion ever does break or just get worn out, buy another one for really cheap, throw it right in the same sheath, and you're good to go. The folding knife I initially started off with is this one. This is a Spyderco Persistence. It's the smaller version of the Tenacious. It uses 8CR13 MOV steel. It's made in China. It's a full flat grind with a secondary bevel. I have convexed the bevel on this one. And once again, they're just kind of great slicers. It's not a really good cut, but in general, it's very sharp. It's very capable. It does its job very well, and I like to have kind of a diverse set. So if I'm carrying a Scandi knife, I will carry like a full flat grind or something that's a better slicer, because the Scandis, they will slice clearly, but they do really well. They kind of shine with wood processing. So that's kind of where I started out. And then at the time I also carried this, which is the Condor Knife and Tool Woodworkers Axe. It has kind of a relatively flat profile across the face of it. Gets really sharp, uses 1075 carbon steel, hickory handle. It's got some nicks on the wood from overstrikes, but allows you to kind of get up close so you can kind of do any kind of small carving tasks. And it works really well. This was actually a really great purchase for a first time. It did its job excellent. And it's worked a long time. It's still put to use often. I really liked the profile of this. It allowed me to do some really great cuts. But when I was doing research, they were like, oh, well, this is for woodworking. It's serviceable, but you should look more towards a small forest axe or something to that style. This here goes for about somewhere between $30 and $40, I believe. And so I figured I'd try to upgrade at some point in time to check it out. But it's definitely a great small axe. Now, after I decided that I wanted to get into this, I decided I wanted to get a good quality bushcraft knife. When I graduated from college, I went online and I purchased this knife. This is not the sheath it came with. It came with another sheath, but the sheath for it was garbage and I cut through it. I got this off of Amazon, and it's a Woodlore clone style knife. It was advertised as a bushcraft knife with O1 tool steel, lignum vitae handles, and it was about $100. Unfortunately, this knife it's not garbage, but it's definitely not what it advertised it was. I believe the wood is laminate, like a diamond wood or something like that. And the steel is stainless steel of some sort. I'm not entirely sure what steel, but it's definitely a stainless, as I couldn't put a patina on it for days. I don't know how well it'll show up, but the grind is off here as well. It's just off center. The craftsmanship just wasn't there. So if you come across this one, it says William Rogers, I cut my way. Pretty much they bought the rights from a factory in England, but I believe these blades are produced somewhere in the Near East, maybe Pakistan or something like that. In general though, when I actually wrote the people who I purchased this from and was complaining, I actually wrote a review, and then they offered to let me just keep the knife, refund my money if I would remove my review. I didn't remove my review. I told them I'd modify it and say what I believed was an accurate description. I didn't say that they were lying, but I did say that the knife itself had its issues, and I gave it like a 3-star review. Now this is kind of a beater knife. It has the file work, which some of the little pieces of epoxy have popped out because I batoned the heck out of it because, well, I didn't have to worry about that. I did sharpen it up, and I mean, it cuts not great, but it cuts. The ferro rod it came with is actually probably the best thing it came with. As I said, the sheath was kind of junk, but the ferro rod is actually pretty decent. But needless to say, I was very disappointed because I was hoping to get a really good quality bushcraft knife, and this was kind of what I ended up with. But when I got my money back, I thought I wasn't going to mess around anymore. So I went on and I found this knife, which is the Bark River Aurora. This uses A2 tool steel. I got it with desert ironwood burl handles, and this is the knife I wanted. I mean, it's a fantastic knife. It's a full convex, 0-degree convex, so it feather sticks really well. This wood is extraordinarily dry. I've been using this wood for a long time, as it shows. But it cuts like a dream. It batons like a dream. Some people are concerned because it has skeletonized tang. I've had zero issues with this knife. It is like it's extraordinarily sharp. It allows you to do fine detail work. It's got a sharp enough point so you can make divots for bow drills. It's an amazing knife. The handle ergonomics are fantastic. It's kind of almost a Coke bottle style. But it is an expensive knife. It runs in the $200 range, give or take, about $20. But this is something that can easily be an heirloom. This is the original sheath it came with, which is a sharpshooter sheath that was made for Bark River. I did buy the dangler for it, and then I traded somebody to get this fire steel. But it's an amazing knife. It's very good. When I go out with this, I'll carry either a small fixed blade, possibly another Bark River. If I carry a folding knife lately, I've been bringing it out with this, which is a Spyderco Delica, primarily just for slicing and food prep while I'm out, because this knife is so versatile, it pretty much does everything else. Now, after having this knife, I ended up getting this, another Condor knife and tool. This one is, I believe it's a Greenland Pattern Axe. I'm not entirely positive. Once again, 1075 steel. This has more of a rounded face to dig deeper into the wood. Excuse me. Now, I like the handle. I like this hickory handle. I like the kind of curve. It makes for a really good chopping motion. But between these two, between the Woodworkers and this one, I like the head of the Woodworkers a little bit better as far as during testing. When actually cutting on some trees, both in my backyard and while at camping, this one goes much deeper in the cut. So cutting through things, this does a better job. Now I believe since this seems to be slightly thicker, this might work better for splitting wood, but for cutting down trees, this thing has just been amazing comparatively to this. They're both good. This one, because it's a little bit wider, the foot of the axe does a really good job for pounding at 10 stakes. It does get really sharp. Let's see if I kind of show that. I mean, it'll make feather sticks too. Sorry, I'm probably not doing that on camera. But in general, between this one and the Woodworkers, I do tend to favor the Woodworkers. It seems to cut a little bit better for me, and then I mean it's very capable, but both of them are decent. I found that this one takes a little long, the Woodworkers takes a little longer to dull out. That might be something to do with the heat treat, although the sheath for this, both of the sheaths that come with the Condors are good, thick quality leather. This one's been used a lot, so this one's just starting to get a little bit of wear and tear, but overall both of them have held up very well. I've been very pleased with them, especially for the price range, between 30 and 40 bucks. You really, if it's something you're interested in, you shouldn't be disappointed. So that's kind of my thoughts on Condor and their products. Their products, for some people, are hit and miss. I had some of their bush lore knives for a while. I had one that was really good. I had one that was problematic. And I wrote them and they sent me out a new one. So even their customer service, it really strives to make you happy. Now, this one here was kind of a half impulse, half kind of coolness factor knife. This is the Ontario SK5 Blackbird knife. It originally comes with this coyote brown, tan nylon sheath. Has a little bit of a felt liner so the knife doesn't knock around that much. Has molly webbing on the front and the back, and a little button clasp. This knife usually retails for about $125. I actually purchased this because I put it on my Amazon wish list after seeing it on Fat Guys in the Woods. I thought it was a cool looking knife, and I was like, oh, well, maybe one day I'll get it. So I put it on my wish list, and it was bouncing around between $109 and $125. And then one day when I was purchasing something else, this came up in my wish list for, I think, like $70. And at that price, I wasn't even going to mess around. I bought it immediately. It uses 154 cm stainless steel. It has, the newer handles are G10, not micarta. It's a very simple Kephart design, full flat grind with a secondary bevel. Once again, I convex the bevel. Feels good in the hand. It's very simple, but it's a great knife. I just took it out recently for the first time for winter camping, and it did great. It does feather sticks well. It does food prep well. It batoned really well. Now I will say, it's a good general purpose knife. It's not like the best at woodworking or the best at this or that, but it is a great overall knife. It's very strong, very sturdy, and as such, it needs a better sheath than this. I mean, this is a very serviceable sheath, but I wanted something very much in line with what they had on Fat Guys in the Woods. In Fat Guys in the Woods, if you were the person who was lucky enough to get one of those, it comes with a Hedgehog Leatherworks sheath, which runs over $300, which was out of my price range. So when in my search to find a really good quality sheath that also was more reasonably priced, or more within my price range, for the quality of the sheath, Hedgehog is worth every penny. But I came across Patriot Leatherworks in Skylar Storm. He has different sheaths that would work with this. I don't remember what the name of the model this is off the top of my head. I'm sure I'll find out and I'll post it. But this is a rock solid sheath. It uses the same sort of spring system using shock cord, so that when you pop it, it opens up all the way so you don't cut it. This one is ambidextrous, so it can be put in for left or right-handed carry. And this one came with all the bells and whistles. So it has the dangler, it has the survival tin pouch, which currently I have some tinder and a candle and other fire making things in there. And then it comes with straps for if you would like to scout carry. You can remove the dangler and use it as a scout carry. And I will say, for I haven't really scout carried many big knives. I did this one last week for a day and a half while I was backpacking, and it was surprisingly comfortable. Very unobtrusive. It's a very well made sheath, and I've been really impressed with it. If you're not able to get a Hedgehog Leatherworks sheath, Skylar Storm at Patriot Leatherworks makes some really good quality products. I'm very happy with it, and hope it'll last a lifetime. And I just, very good quality knife. Now it has the proper clothing it needs to keep it safe. Around the same time, I found in a trade group a guy that was getting rid of his Greenland axe. This is the small forest axe. This is a strike guard that was made by Justin Wolf from Wolf Customs. I will probably trim this up a little bit for just a little more of a snug fit at the top, but this thing has already been worth its weight in gold. My other two have some dings in the wood. This thing has protected this very well. The sheath or the mask that comes for the Greenland Brooks is not as good as the Condor knife and tool ones. It's adequate, but fortunately enough, right before this was delivered, I asked him what was the chances that he would be able to make a sheath or mask for my axe, and somebody had ordered one but didn't actually want this one, and it happened to be the same colors, and so I scooped it up. Worth every penny. Strong quality sheath, very well made. Once again, very happy with it. I do like the fact that it comes all the way back over the heel. It slots in very well, very snug and secure, and then good quality snap. And this thing, I see what all the hype is about. This thing cuts like a dream. It's extraordinarily sharp. It's a great axe. I mean, I just love using it. I actually just find like brush to clear in my backyard just so I can use it. But it's a great quality product. I believe they go in about the $100 range, but if you're buying it, you're buying a tool that will last you a lifetime. Once again, all these things, some of them are actually quite expensive. Some of them are technically out of my price range. I usually wait until Christmas, a birthday, or I come into some money, and then I kind of splurge and get one of these. And I think to a certain degree as investments. I like to collect them, and I like to use them, and this thing is just a solid piece of equipment. I just can't wait till I get to use it a little bit more. But it's definitely something I really learned to appreciate, and I was grateful to get the deal that I did on it. So with that being said, I'll move on to my most recent thing I've gotten. And that would be this. This is a black feather knives. This is the Black Lore. It is a Woodlore clone. I will say that comparatively to this one, this is a proper Woodlore clone. It's got black micarta handles, blue liners, actual 01 tool steel, and true Scandi grind. This one actually has a hollow grind, and so it has a true Scandi grind. It's just extremely sharp, great at processing wood. Let me find a place that I haven't actually already done that. Let's see if I can kind of throw it up. But as far as, I mean, you can do shallow cuts, you can do deep cuts, you can do notch cuts. I mean, this thing is just a beast with wood. I've come to like the handles a lot. Initially I thought that they need to be tapered a little bit, but it's very comfortable. I haven't found many grips that haven't been really just, it's really well worked, and the craftsmanship on this is incredible. This is made by an individual, Joe Honeycutt, and it's just, you can't even feel the edges here. It's just so well made. This is somebody who takes pride in their work, and I appreciate that. It's not too thick, it's not too bulky, it's just a very light, nimble blade that really can get the job done. I would change two things on it. One, I probably, by the time this was almost done, I thought maybe I'd kind of want desert ironwood handles, and I still kind of wish I got that, so I would have probably changed that. And the other thing is right back here, right before you get to the edge, maybe 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. It's not quite sharpened, but that is by far, of all the gripes I could have, the most minimal gripe, because that is easy enough for me to fix on my own. And yeah, this thing is just a beautiful piece of art. I mean, everything about it is just dead on even. The grind is perfectly centered, very well done. If you do have an opportunity and you have the time to wait, this I believe took about 4 months to get to me, worth every penny. I believe it was about $240, so once again, it's not a cheap blade, but this is something that I will be able to pass on to my son or whatever. It's just a phenomenal tool. Now with this one, since it's a Scandi grind, I've been carrying this, which is the Bark River Adventurer neck knife. It comes with a magnetic sheath. I ended up switching it to the Kydex sheath that was able to be purchased online, although I do have a neck carry Kydex sheath also. And I had straps put on it so I can scout carry it. So I will usually carry this on my front left, and then this will be on my right hip. And this combo is just, it's kind of unbeatable in my opinion. I mean, I mean, this one's really small, quick, and nimble. And does great slicing, and this one here just chews through wood. I look forward to putting them through a lot more use in the future. And the sheath it comes with is a quality sheath. It does not come with a dangler. This dangler is from one of my other sheaths that I have, although I'll have to put a proper D-ring on it. And then the fire steel that I'm currently using on it actually came with my Patriot Leatherworks, but the Armor-sized fire steel didn't fit here, so I decided to use one from Patriot Leatherworks, and I put the Armor steel on the Patriot Leatherworks one. It seems to be working out just fine. But quality sheath, very simple, but I really appreciate the simplicity of it. It's got the feather on the back. Really, this knife is really growing on me. I've only had it a short time, but I'm going to put it to a lot more use in the near future. So that's kind of how I evolved. I still use these three. This one's kind of my winter bushcrafting knife when I'm going to be in the snow, and I'm concerned about being in the field and getting water on my knives and not having enough time to clean up, and I didn't want moisture to damage it. This is for that. For other occasions, either one of these is pretty much a winner. This is one I've had the most use with, but since this is recent, this one will probably be working on the rotation. I'll be using this for a while. Just really kind of getting the feel for it. But I really appreciate the opportunity to go out, make things myself, whether it be just a small lean-to shelter, try to do a more primitive fire. Not because I don't have fire steels or matches or lighters, but it's really good to kind of reconnect in a more primitive way, personally at least. I mean, not everybody's going to feel the same way, but for me personally, I really kind of appreciate getting into a more primitive thing with a modern twist. So as far as I will try to make as much as I can, but I will still carry more up-to-date clothing. Oftentimes, currently I'm still using my camp quilt instead of a wool blanket. So I do try to use newer technologies in more traditional roles. As far as saws go, I have what most people have, the Spyderco Laplander saw. Very good tool. I mean, it can take out a pretty decent sized log. It's very capable, it's well made, it's reasonably priced. There's plenty of reviews on it, so I recommend if you are interested in getting a saw, check it out. And then another one I got, and this is more for if I was doing backpacking and I was doing clearing the trail, is this one. This is the Silky Pocket Boy by Silky Saw. It's, you know, still got some blade length, not quite as long as the Spyderco, but it's definitely got enough to do some, you know, large limbing. I like the fact that you can actually adjust the angle so I can cut down so I don't jam my fingers while I'm doing things. I also like the fact that it's got a sharper spine, so I can use this if I need to for striking a ferro rod. Comes with this nifty plastic case where you can just pop it in, little loop that you can kind of either attach to your backpack with carabiner or stick it on your belt. But I found that I'll use the saws to take off larger limbs, and then I will occasionally baton, not too often, but on occasion. I've batoned probably most with these two. This one I haven't had any chance to baton with. And then if I'm going to be out and I don't really have to worry about weight, I will also bring, like currently I'll bring out the small forest axe just to do like any sort of splitting and any extra work. And with these tools you should be able to do most anything that you need to create in the woods, whether it be a fire set, shelter, traps, most everything. So here's what I have currently. There's other, I always have other tools, but these kind of are a good foundation to show what I use for bushcraft. So with that, just any questions or comments you guys have are really appreciated. Are there other tools that you guys think are essential as far as bladed tools? Are there different folders that you would prefer, or are there different fixed blades that you prefer? So yeah, likes and comments are always appreciated, and I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say and starting the discussion. Thanks a lot.